Okay. So we had about how many concords in total? 14. Okay. Okay. So let's move to another topic. Hello class, welcome to today's lecture. Now we're going to be looking at a new topic, all right, and that's phrases. So we're going to be considering what a phrase is, and then we'll be looking at different types of phrases in English language and how to identify each of these phrases in a sentence. Okay, so now let's start with that. Now, the definition, we have that a phrase is a word or a group of words. A phrase is a word or a group of words, okay, which forms a part of a clause, which forms a part of a clause or a sentence. Okay, so a phrase forms, remember that a phrase can be a word. It's possible for a phrase to be a word. It is also possible for a phrase to be a group of words, all right, which most people use. You know, a phrase being a group of words, that's basically what most people use. And a phrase can as well be a single word, okay? So it means that a single word can form a phrase. Next one, which forms a part of a clause. So a phrase will form a part of a clause or a sentence, okay? So a phrase will form a part of a clause. It's just a part, like a section of a clause, not the totality, just a section of a clause, or just a section of a sentence, just a part of a sentence. Do you understand? Now, let's continue. Phrases, phrases are named, phrases are named according to their headwords. So phrases are named according to their headwords. So that means, for instance, a noun phrase can be easily identified by either a noun or a pronoun being the head word. All right. Adjectival phrase can be easily identified by an adjective being the head word. All right. The same way, a verb phrase can be easily identified by a main verb being the head word. Do you understand? Or combination of verbs to form a verb phrase. We're going to look at example to all of that. So phrases are named according to their headwords. Okay. So that means each phrase is easily identified, is easily identified according to its headword. So each phrase is easily identified according to its headword, okay? All phrases accommodate non-finite verbs. Non-finite verbs. All right. Now, all phrases will accommodate non-finite verbs. So this is usually a case where a verb does not really agree to the subject in terms of number or person. Okay. So pay attention. We said all phrases accommodate non-finite verbs. So in other words, a non-finite verb is a verb which does not, a non-finite verb is a verb which does not agree with the subject, in terms of number. Number means whether the subject is singular or plural, comma, in terms of tense, that's talking about present, past, and future. Okay? Comma, in terms of person, when you talk about person, you're referring to the first person, the second person, and the third person. So these verbs do not agree with the subject in terms of number, person, tense. So let's take a review to this. Said a phrase is a word or a group of words which forms a part of a clause or a sentence. So that simply means that a phrase forms a part of a clause or a sentence. Do you understand? And remember, phrases are named according to their headword. That means for us to easily identify a noun phrase, the headword must be a noun or a pronoun. For us to easily identify adjectival phrase, the headword must be an adjective. Do you understand? So look at this. Said each phrase is easily identified according to its headword. Okay. And remember, all phrases accommodate non-finite verb. What's a non-finite verb? Now, here, a non-finite verb is a verb which does not agree with the subject in terms of what? Number. Number in English means whether the word is singular or plural, okay? In terms of tense, that's you're referring to present, past, and future. And in terms of person, all right, person in English is talking about the first person, which is the speaker, all right? The second person, which is the listener, and then the third person, which is that to which you're making reference to, all right? Yes, the third person is that thing you're talking about, or that to which you're making reference to. So that's a phrase. Okay. Let me know if you have a question on this. Any question at all? Now, how do we form phrases? Let's look at formation of phrases. Formation of phrases. Okay. And before we look at formation of phrases, let's look at types of phrases. Let's look at types of phrases. Types. Types of phrases. Okay. So there are 5 types of phrases in English language. There are 5 types of phrases. So the first one is called the noun phrase. Okay, the noun phrase. All right, in short form, you can write NP. The noun phrase is called the NP. Then two, we have the adjective phrase. Okay, adjective phrase, or you can otherwise say adjectival phrase. Okay, then the third one is called the adverb phrase, or the adverbial phrase. Okay, the fourth one is called the verb phrase. Okay, the verb phrase. And then the fifth one is the prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase. So class, we're going to be looking at each of these phrases one after another. We're going to consider all these 5 types of phrases one after another. Now, today, we're going to be diving deeper to noun phrases, okay? Yes, to noun phrases. So now, let's start. These are the 5 types of phrases. So let's start with noun phrases, okay? Noun phrases. Let's look at noun phrases. Noun phrases. So here you have a noun phrase is a group of words. A noun phrase is a group of words in which the what? The noun or pronoun functions as the head. Functions as the head. All right? Pay attention. A noun phrase is a group of words in which the noun or pronoun functions as the head. That means in a noun phrase, the head word must be either a noun or a pronoun. And usually, a noun phrase will be a group of words. Okay? You can as well be a single word, it's possible. All right? But by general opinion, you would have that a noun phrase is a group of words in which the noun or pronoun functions as the head. Are we together? Now, let's continue. Here is the definition. Okay. A noun phrase can be formed. A noun phrase can be formed in different ways. A noun phrase can be formed in different ways. A noun phrase can be formed in different ways. Yeah, so there are just basically 2 definitions. Okay. The first definition is that a phrase is a group of words which forms a part of a sentence or a clause. The second phrase is a phrase. The second definition could be that a phrase is a group of words, okay, without a finite verb. That's another particular way that you can have it. Let me illustrate that here. A phrase is a group of words. A phrase is a group of words without a finite verb. All right. So that means in a phrase, you won't find a finite verb. What is a finite verb? Like I explained to you, any verb that is willing to agree with the subject in terms of number, person, and tense. that verb is a finite verb. Finite verb can make changes. For example, if you change the subject from singular to plural, it also affects the verb. That's a finite verb. But most non-finite verbs, let me give you an example. Examples of non-finite verbs. Non-finite verbs are verbs preceded by to. Okay, that's the to infinitive. Any verb that is preceded by to is always seen as a non-finite verb. For example, to buy, to sell, to give, and so on like this. So these are examples of to infinitive. When verbs are preceded by to, they are called non-finite verbs. You can elaborate this in sentences. To buy, to sell, to give, you can elaborate them in sentences. For example, you could have, I went to the market to buy an iPhone, or to buy a marker, or to buy anything at all. So that to buy is a to buy is called non-finite, NF, non-finite verb. Okay? So these are examples of non-finite verb. Then verbs, okay, verbs ending with en. All right. Most verbs that end with en, they are non-finite. Do you understand? Like when you have, example, taking, there are many of them like that. You have gone, okay. No, let's have en. Taking, you have drink, drank, drunk. Let's use, trying to find other ones. Taking, given. Yeah, given. We could have other ones. We can have other ones. Let's have other ones. There's a lot of verbs that end with en. I'm trying to get as many as possible. So if you have verbs ending, verbs ending in ed as well, okay, they could be seen as a non-finite verb. For example, you could have provided, you could have trying to get a lot of examples to give you. Okay, I'll fill up this ones and this. So when you have verbs ending in ing, all right. So these ones can be seen as gerund too. In some cases, verbs that end in ing can be seen as gerund too. Okay, gerund are verbal nouns. Yes, there is. There's gerund phrase, but it falls under noun phrases too. Like reading at night could be difficult for some people. So that reading is not used as a verb, it's rather used as a noun. Do you understand? It has the structure of a verb because it ends in ing, but it's functioning as a noun. That's gerund. So gerundial phrases falls under noun phrases too. So that's why I didn't list it as one of them. Even there is infinitive phrases too. Do you understand? Phrases that are preceded by to. Yes. But those ones, they will also fall under verb phrases. Infinitive phrases will fall under verb phrases too. So verbs that end in ing form would also be seen as a non-finite verbs. Okay. You could have an example of them. Can be smoking, drinking, reading, okay, and so on like that. There are so many more like that. Provided, you could also have, okay, guided, or you could also have, yeah, more, taking, given, choosing, or seen, okay, seen, and so on. There are so many verbs that end with en. So these are characteristics of non-finite verb. They are usually verbs that are preceded by to. They are usually verbs that end with en. Okay. They are usually verbs that end with ed. They are usually verbs that end with en. All right. Those are characteristics of non-finite verb, and they could hardly agree with the subject. Yes, they could hardly agree with the subject in terms of number, person, and tense. Okay, so there are two ways to define phrases. So you can write these two. This is the first one. This is the first one that I've given you. And then this is the second one. A phrase is a group of words without a finite verb. Okay, and then this is the first. This is very elaborate than that. Containing an independent meaning. No, 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 no. It is hard for a phrase to contain an independent meaning. It is very hard. If you look at this definition, remember I said that a phrase just forms a part of a sentence or a part of a clause, meaning that it does not have an independent meaning. I don't know if you understand. It does not have an independent. When you say something has independent meaning, it means that the structure is meaningful. Like the sentence is meaningful, but it's very hard for you. Look at, for example, if I say at the top, that's a phrase. Do you understand? And imagine if I walk up to you and I tell you, Chima, at the top, you'll be lost. You won't understand what I'm talking about. Of course, you would still be thinking, what is at the top? Or what is happening at the top? You know, that's basically a phrase. It doesn't have a comprehensive meaning. It forms like a part. Of course, if I have at the top, of course, there should be something preceding it, like another group of sentence or group of words preceding it. And then, because this is starting with a preposition, all right, this will be regarded, this structure, 1, 2, 3, will be regarded as a prepositional phrase. That's why I told you that most phrases are identified by their head word. So look at the analysis now. This is preposition, prep, plus definite article. Am I correct? Plus top. What is top? A noun. Abi? Now, if I combine this definite article plus a noun, I'll form a noun phrase. Okay? Plus this preposition. So if I combine a preposition plus a noun phrase, what will I form? I'll form prepositional phrase. Can you see what I'm talking about? So at the top is a phrase. This is just a part of a sentence. So if I want to write the completed form or the independent meaning, okay, what I will have is I saw the bag at the top of the roof. Am I correct? So here, this is the completed form. This is like a sentence basically. And then I said, what grammatical name? Are you with me? What grammatical name is this underlying portion at the top? No, that would be a prepositional. No, not the function yet. The grammatical name first. Is after grammatical name. Exactly. It's after grammatical name, then you now look for the function, Abi. So if I underline this portion now, in this sentence, I decide to underline only this portion. I ask you, what is the grammatical name of this underlined portion? You tell me that it is what? A versional phrase. This is the analysis here to show. That's why It's difficult for a phrase to have an